How's it going, everybody? Bryan Alvarez here on Wrestling Observer Live. We are here every day, Monday through Friday, noon Pacific, 3 Eastern, Sunday, 3 Pacific, 6 Eastern, Saturday mornings with Jim Valley, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 Eastern, Sundays with Andrew Zarian. And it is Wednesday here on the show, and you know what that means? Fright Night Dynamite is tonight. Got a lot to say about Fright Night Dynamite because we got some positive news. So I want to make sure we talk about that. Last night was NXT. I couldn't get it out without smiling. I know a lot of you are going to think I'm going to be mad today. You're wrong. You're wrong. It's funny now. We got a lot coming up this weekend, including the pay-per-view lineup for WWE Crown Jewel. And then, of course, we got all the health updates to kick off the show. When we come back from the break, Chris Bay update, Maria Kanellis update. Want to talk about those first of all, then more on the WWE ID program. That was certainly a lot of fun yesterday. And then we'll move on to other stuff because we got a lot to talk about here today. Next week's ECW Arena show, Kenny Omega scheduled to make an appearance at Power Struggle, the Raw ratings, and plenty more. It's actually a very busy day. And if you want to contact us, well, you're welcome to. The phone number, 425, this is for text messages. Don't bother calling. People make that mistake every day, and they just waste their dime. You know, for those of you that are old, you put a dime in the telephone booth. Anyway, 425-780-7566 is the text message line. 425-780-7566. F4W Online at gmail.com. F4W Online, Threads, Instagram, and Cameo. And at Bryan Alvarez on Twitter. And hey, if you're a fan of After Dark Radio, that's tomorrow. Want to make mention. Send in your spooky stories. Try to keep them concise. Bryan at WrestlingObserver.com. After Dark in the subject line. We're going to read them on the air tomorrow. Back in a moment with more Observer Live. Back in the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. I'm ready. This should be Fun Friday.
Oh, yeah?
I'm ready for a lot of fun today. But before we get into it, we got a couple of serious things we got to talk about at the beginning. But I do want to mention, if you go up to my X right now, at Bryan Alvarez, I did retweet the Karrion Kross Scarlett segment that we talked about all day yesterday, which is I watched it again. Like I can't even look at it with no sound without laughing. It's the best segment of 2024. He was drawing is what he was doing. He wasn't eating. I've had a chance to watch it multiple times since yesterday. So go up there and check it out. But anyway, before we get to more frivolity, a couple of serious notes. Chris Bay appreciates all the support he's received as he recovers from a serious neck injury. They posted a statement from him on Tuesday. He said, "I just want to take a few moments to extend my heartfelt thanks, deepest appreciation for so much and to so many over the past few days. From everyone at TNA Wrestling, incredible medical staff here in Detroit, family, friends, and fans worldwide. I know you've been praying for my full recovery from the in-ring accident this past Sunday. Monday was day one for me on this journey, which I know will be long and challenging. Thanks again for your love and support. Please keep the prayers coming. There is a GoFundMe, which actually I'm not sure I need to retweet that one, actually. But it is currently at $76,760 just in the last couple of days. So very, very happy to see that. Obviously, it's going to help offset much of these medical costs, but great to at least get a statement from Chris Bay. And hopefully day 2 and 3 here are going as well as can be expected for him.
Absolutely. And the amount of outpouring that he's gotten has been very nice, and that's just about it. You know, I just hope we hear some, see some pictures and hear some words soon on, again, one thing they have not said anything about is any of his extremities or anything like that. So, again, hoping that part of the possible story is not the case and that he is going to fight through everything that he needs to.
I'm trying to get it up here right now. Hold on. I don't know why this is making it difficult. All right.
It's got to be like that.
Did that work? No, I don't want to. How come I can't do this?
It's just going to be one of those days. That's what you get for saying Fun Friday a day early.
All right, fine. I'm just going to post to the thing. I was trying to add like a heart or something, an emoji. And it absolutely would not let me do it because I'm freaking old and I can't figure out social media. Which actually is a benefit to getting old.
It's true.
You can't figure out social media. Now it doesn't even look like it even went up there. Oh, God, what next?
Well, if you go to my Twitter, at Sempervive, I did retweet one of the...
There it is. Oh, my God.
Out there for Chris. Yes.
Put up about 15 hearts as I was trying to figure out how to do it. Okay, it's up there, everybody. So go up there and donate, please.
That means you mean it.
The original goal, I think, was like 50,000. It had just eclipsed that. So now they've moved it to 100,000.
Well, did I see? I think I saw something like Adam Copeland
10,000
donated $10,000.
Yeah, a lot of people have donated a lot of money.
Look, and I know there were people that, because the nature of what people do on the internet, there were people that came out and were like, well, why should we help them? Shouldn't TNA take the cost? Man, this guy could be paralyzed for all we know, okay? We know something extremely serious has gone on here. Yes, I'm sure Anthem is going to do everything that they can do, but this is... again, about a lot of other things that unfortunately other wrestlers had to explain to people or attempt to explain to people when it comes to all of the other bills and all of the other costs that could be incurred from this down the line. So, again, why people have to be silly or stupid or ignorant about trying to benefit somebody else is completely ridiculous.
Maria's back home after having been readmitted to the hospital, had surgery to remove a mass found on her adrenal gland. I made it home, she said. What a crazy week. Thank God for my family, my church. Thank you for the amazing team. Thank you for my children's school. Tony Khan for the flowers. AEW staff for the support. Undisputed Kingdom. Everyone who reached out. Feeling very blessed and grateful to be alive. And she'll get the testing done, or the results back in a few more days. So hopefully, man, we went from Monday, it was like we opened the show, one bad story after another. And hopefully, as we end the week, we'll start getting one good news story after another. That's what we can hope for here. And that's that. All right, a couple of other things, some follow-ups from yesterday. This from WrestlingObserver.com. A day after a potentially game-changing program for the industry was announced by WWE, new report has revealed several indie wrestlers are already under WWE ID deals. Brandon Thurston reported the news, confirmed by multiple sources, no names revealed. And I can tell you guys more about this, because we talked about it yesterday. So, when I first heard about this, it was like a month ago, because somebody asked me, they go, have you heard anything about a WWE scholarship program? And I was like, what are you talking about? And they're like, indie guys getting paid by WWE to be indie. I said, I had never heard anything about that. And I asked, and like, I talked to people in WWE, they hadn't heard about it either. But now that this has been announced, now we're starting to hear about it. So it appears, so the person that originally asked me, I forget how many people he said, but it was a somewhat large number, like 20 or 30 or something like that. So the number that I got today was, quote, about 8, and there's about 8 indie guys that are currently being paid something through this WWE ID program, and none of them are currently at the Performance Center. They're all out doing indies, and I was told that what they're being paid at this point is not a living wage, and it's not the kind of money you can live on, but you can upgrade your, what would you call
Gear?
it? Well, your presentation.
There you go.
You can upgrade your presentation. What does that mean? New gear, new boots, tanning. I mean, I don't know what else, but the money is supposed to be going to upgrading your presentation.
Workout shakes.
As an indie wrestler. So, yeah, that's the update.
Creatine.
That's the update as of now, and there will be more. And also, I was told that, like, I mean, there's a lot still to come, but they're going to be having certain schools that are WWE ID schools. Booker's school, Cody's school, and, it's pretty much just because you go to that school doesn't mean that you're, like, being fast-tracked to WWE. Like, these are affiliated schools, but, like, you can be in the WWE ID program without going there, and you can go there and start your career and not ever end up part of the WWE ID program. So these are just, like, the affiliated schools. I'm sure there's going to be, they trust Booker T, they trust Cody Rhodes, they trust Seth. They're going to trust, whoever else ends up being involved. But that's the update on the program as of today. And I still don't see any negatives in this whatsoever. Despite yesterday and, like all day yesterday and today on social media, this evil company. Well, I don't know, man. I think it's a positive thing.
Well, yeah, there could be potential negatives that come out of it that affect certain wrestlers or certain independent promotions, but we don't know that yet. Got to see this whole thing kind of get into gear first and find out, okay, how is this going to work? But if you have always been a WWE fan and your whole goal is to get to WWE, and there are people that are like that, obviously, this just provides them extra opportunities. It can provide them, again, everything they need to get on that track to go. And again, like we mentioned yesterday, it's not like AEW cannot do this or that they should not be doing this. They should be doing it as well. Look at Dustin Rhodes' school in Texas. That would be a great one. There are plenty of others that they can also link with to do something like this.
Pretty sure they're not going to use Dustin's school as he's a multi-time champion on AEW television.
They will not use him?
I don't think WWE ID is.
I'm talking about AEW.
I
AEW.
see. I thought you were talking about WWE.
Yes. No.
Well, hey, listen, AEW can do this too. Hey, I'll talk about something after the break for those of you that think this is like some horrible thing for wrestlers. Back in a moment, Observer Live.
The twins, yeah.
It is incredible. I can't even mention this without people losing their minds. So if you're a WWE ID guy, you can't go to AEW? Guys, if you sign an agreement to be a WWE ID guy, it's because you want to go to WWE. It's because you chose to go to WWE. Nick Wayne did the exact same thing for AEW. He signed a deal when he was 16 that said he would go to AEW when he was 18. Or to AEW. So if WWE called him when he was 17, he couldn't go. Was everybody up in arms about that? I don't remember that. Apparently not, because it was AEW. But if WWE had done that, if WWE had signed an agreement with Nick Wayne that you're going to go to WWE when you're 18, people would absolutely freak. What if he wants to go to AEW? That's exactly what AEW did with Nick. And that's what they will do and WWE will do that with their ID guys. Both sides do it. And it's okay. It's okay.
People are already dealing in hypotheticals like, well, what if one person wants to wrestle another person and the WWE ID person says, no, I can't wrestle that person, I can't job to that person. This hasn't even happened yet. This hasn't happened. We haven't had that scenario. Believe me, when it happens, we'll know about that scenario because we're either going to have an angry wrestler or we're going to have an angry promoter that ends up putting that information out there. But until that happens, there's really nothing to say. I mean, Filthy Tom could have shot on Brutus Creed, could he have not? You know, Julius Creed faced off against Mikowski, I believe it was. Like, you know, we've already had situations where WWE...
We've had WWE performers work in other promotions and do jobs.
Yeah.
And it's okay. I don't care what happened in WWE UK years ago, okay? Like, we've seen WWE performers work on other shows and do jobs. It hasn't been a problem. If it becomes a problem, then that's fine. You can talk about it being a problem. But you cannot look at a situation from years ago when it was basically run by a complete maniac and say, well, you know, because they did it that way, this is how it's going to be for this WWE. You don't know anything about this WWE ID program. If it ends up being a disaster, then we can talk about how it's a disaster. It's just started. Nothing has happened yet. Hey, listen, there's at least 8 people who have already been under a WWE ID deal, and they have been for a long time. Have you heard any stories about people not being able to do jobs? Have you heard about any indie guys who... I haven't heard a single thing. Have you? Well, when it becomes a problem, then you can worry about it. But so far, it hasn't been a problem. Okay? So...
And I know people are fatalistic, thinking, okay, WWE wants to take over the world. Yeah, the same way that, like, you know, the NFL, no matter how much they need a feeder system between college and pros, they're not going to work with anybody else to try to create one because they're going to do whatever they want themselves. WWE wanting to have a network in a quote-unquote minor league program, however you want to look at this system, like, they should want that. As a fan, can you be somewhat cautious about it and think because of past history that this is, okay, they want to take over everything? Sure, you can have that fear, but the reality is they have the right to do this, and if I was a company, I would be trying to do this, trying to link up training companies, trying to put people under contract that I think are good and try to develop them and try to push them in their direction. I mean, again, what is stopping AEW from doing that? Nothing. Nothing is stopping them from doing that. So again, everybody is a little up in arms about this over something that hasn't happened yet. Period.
Here we go. Let's see. What do we got here?
Are they back on the social media thing?
It's just the usual. Here's the thing, guys. You're all acting like these poor independent wrestlers are victims to have to be make an agreement to go to... If they sign the agreement to be ID guys, they want to go to WWE. Why do you think Nick signed that AEW deal when he was 16 years old? He signed it because he wanted to go to AEW. He didn't want to go to WWE. So if they find guys that agree to do WWE ID deals, they're doing it for a reason. They don't want to go to AEW. They're not victims. They're not suffering out there. In fact, they're getting paid to upgrade their presentation because they want to go to WWE. They're being paid by WWE. How is this a negative?
Is this a lifetime blood contract that they can't get out of, where if they sign their name there, their entire life is now dedicated to WWE? I'm sure there's ways to get out of that deal. I'm sure there's ways for it to lapse or whatever where, okay, you can't. You can get out of it. But also, if you sign a deal with WWE and then you find out later on AEW or TNA came calling or New Japan or whoever with some massive deal, sometimes, those are just lessons that you have to learn, okay? Maybe you shouldn't have signed it, but there are going to be a lot of other people that it does benefit. It just, again, we're dealing in all these ridiculous hypotheticals that have not happened yet.
It's not just that. Oh, we literally just saw them yank Stephanie Vakir, this person says, from bookings. Yeah, and AEW's yanked Nick from bookings, okay? This happens in every company. If Nick has a booking, or anybody else who happens to do indies, which is not a lot of guys in AEW nowadays, but it does happen. If those guys are booked for an indie, and Tony decides he needs them for Collision on Saturday, they get yanked from the other booking. It happens in AEW. Yeah, it may happen with people that are signed to WWE. It happens. It's professional wrestling. Why is this a tribalistic thing? Again, from the people that complain about tribalism all the time. Shut up about it. Now, let's talk about a good thing regarding Dynamite tonight. So this is the Fright Night Dynamite show in Cleveland. And $32.74. That's how many tickets are out right now. Now, I will say that we can't say for sure that this show is doing as well as it's doing because they have advertised a bunch of stuff in advance. However, I think advertising a lot of stuff in advance is clearly very important. Now, you can say, 32. Listen, here's the thing about $32.74, okay? The last time that they ran Cleveland, they did under $32.74, okay? So they have done better than they did the last time they ran Cleveland. Now, if you go back and you look at recent AEW attendances, this is kind of a big deal because one show after another is drawing significantly worse in the same market than they did the year prior. Example, a couple of weeks ago, they ran in Stockton, California. A year ago in Stockton, they drew 3,800. This year, they drew 1,900. This happens for Dynamite. This happens for Collision. So, I mean, we talked about it 1,000 times. You're doing significantly worse year over year, and you're still not announcing anything until a day or two before the show. Well, that has changed. If you've been watching the show lately, they had Fright Night matches announced 2 weeks ago, and they've been announcing cards further in advance. They've been advertising matches for 2 weeks in advance, and here we are. Cleveland, Ohio is doing better than they were a year ago. That to me is like a big deal. And it's not even just, here's the thing about announcing things in advance, okay? Yes, there's an aspect of it where they're coming to Everett tomorrow. I have no idea who's on the show. Like, maybe I'll go because I know the show will be good. Maybe I won't. There are people who the company is coming to their town tomorrow. They have no idea who's on the show. They're just not going to go, okay? I get texts and emails and tweets about it all the time, okay? But here's the other thing about advertising in advance. So if you look at the card here, if you look at the card for tonight, let's see who we've got on the show. We got Swerve and Shelton Benjamin, Young Bucks and Private Party, Adam Cole and Buddy Matthews, Chris Statlander, Camille, Orange Cassidy, and Hangman Page are appearing, okay? So maybe, like, there's nobody in particular that you really want to see all that bad. Like, it's cool to see these guys, but, like, maybe you're a huge fan. Man, I wish Kenny Omega were there, or I wish, Chris Jericho's not advertised.
MJF and
MJF isn't advertised, whatever. Okay, but here's the thing. Regardless of who you announce, okay, when you make announcements for a show weeks in advance, it makes the show itself seem important because you've been booking matches for it for weeks. So even if you don't really care about who's on the show tonight, the fact that tonight is Fright Night Dynamite, they've been promoting Fright Night Dynamite for weeks. They've been announcing matches for Fright Night Dynamite for weeks. There is that psychological thing about Fright Night Dynamite is tonight in my town. Like, I'm going to get a ticket. That seems pretty cool. So you have to advertise in advance. Like, the matches themselves, they're important to a degree, but also making the show seem important by advertising things in advance and making it seem like a big deal is also important. So anyway, I think that this is working based on how this show is doing here. And also, one other thing, if you look at the last, it was like a week ago, if you look at all of the attendances for the last couple of weeks, the show that did the dirt worst was Collision in terms of attendance. And that was the one show where they'd advertise nothing. All of the other shows they'd advertise stuff for, they all did better than that Collision. So let's keep it up is my point.
Like WWE, there's a reason that they'll say even if they don't announce matches, Roman Reigns will be there, this person will be there, that person will be there, even if they don't have matches set up, so you know, okay, these people are going to be on the show. And when it comes to fixing all of this, there is no instant solution. Consistency is going to be the key, so it's not going to spike attendance all at once, but over time, people can get it in their heads and things can start to change.
Back in a moment, Observer Live.
We've almost reached the pinnacle of the tour, but this is one of the most important things. This is the computer. This is the workstation where I do the majority of the actual physical part of putting Figure 4 together. I do the writing here, the editing here, of course the phone calls, even the microphone here when we used to do Wrestling Observer Live, which has since died. And in fact, I better put the screensaver on here so this doesn't get burned in the screen. But putting the newsletter together, people understand, it's a lot of hard work and dedication, like 2 to 3 hours per week sometimes I have to spend on it. And, hold on a second. Figure 4, who's this? Carl Thorillo? Yeah. Yeah, hey, listen, can I call you back? I'm doing something here right now. My fridge? Yes, running. Hello? Anyway, this is, like I said, computer, got the TV here, this is pretty much the place. This is going to be a quick tour of the trophy room. This is actually my trophy case. It's made of mahogany, very expensive, but what is worth far more than the case itself is what is inside, and that is the medals from the various sports and the accomplishments that I've achieved during my lifetime. This first drawer here is my gymnastics medals. Here, I got state and such. These are my Taekwondo medals. These down here, amateur wrestling medals. And down here are the 26 medals that I won in the 5-kilometer walk down to the Bothell Landing over the course of the past 5 years. And, you know, I realize that I'm a 4-sport superstar right here, and some people, you know, it might bother them that they haven't had such achievements in their life, but I think that the whole point is that you can achieve anything. You know, if you can make a great pie, you can win the pie eating contest at the Puyallup Fair, and I don't know, hell, if you can eat a good pie, you might win the pie eating contest as well. So there's achievement in this life for everybody.
Back in the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com.
Wait, before we even begin, I need to ask you,
Oh, God.
just once, do you care?
I'll get to that in a minute.
All right.
Vince McMahon is preparing to launch a new company, PW Insider is reporting. Kenny Omega is headed to Power Struggle. New Japan announced Wednesday he'll be making an appearance at Power Struggle
I was hoping you would just
on November 4th
read headlines and that
in
was
Osaka.
it.
Nah, who cares? What do I care less about, Vince's new company or Javon's booking last night? We'll soon
Hopefully
find out.
Vince's new company.
I do care much less about Vince's new company, actually.
Please.
Kenny Omega is going to be at Arena Osaka for a special guest appearance. And that'll be November 4th. Very interesting. Like, his first appearance back will not be for AEW. It will be for New Japan.
Well, just, was he doing anything? He's just making an appearance. So, no big deal. You need him, right? You kind of need him for January 5th. You need him for a lot of things. And in fact, maybe the first appearance he can make back on North American soil will be saying that he's going to be in, not San Jose, but at the Walter Pyramid in Long Beach, because those tickets need some oomph to them. So anything that they can do to announce something for that might be a good idea, including Kenny Omega just like maybe hanging out or something like that.
Man, they're just going on and on here.
Oh, God, what's up?
I'm just pointing out that, like, Vince is gone,
Yeah?
He's gone. Like, guys are allowed to do jobs outside WWE. Like, things are changed. Oh, but Samantha Irvin, she wanted to be a talent. They wouldn't let her. That sounds like Vince. No, that sounds like every company that doesn't want someone to be something they don't want them to be.
Tell me about it. Tell me about it.
Are you kidding me? That's a Vince McMahon thing, that somebody wanted to be a wrestler and not a ring announcer, and they wanted her to be a ring announcer. Have you ever had a job, not just in wrestling, but anywhere? So Vince must still be there or be involved because somebody wanted a role and they weren't. What? Are you absolutely? I got to block people. I got to start blocking them. What is happening today?
I don't know.
What is happening today?
Like, people need to get the Vince evil out of their head. If they want to talk about corporate evil and the things that TKO or could possibly, there's plenty there. Like, you don't have to drag Vince back in and make every comparison to Vince here. You need to maybe start looking at some other things when it comes to WWE and TKO.
Time to start blocking. How do I do this? I can take
You
no
hit
more.
block.
Yeah, I can. I can figure it out.
Yeah, well,
There's a little thing right here.
little block button.
All right, blocked.
Letty, that's number one.
Yeah, he's gone. I can take no more.
Oh, Lenny.
Yeah. Oh, good luck on your podcast, oh brother. All right, we got to talk about NXT. Their highs and lows. I will say, Tatum Paxley and Wendy Chu in the casket match.
It sucked, but it could have been worse.
No, actually, the gimmick
come
sucks.
on.
Okay, the gimmick sucks. Both of them have a terrible gimmick. But as far as like wrestling, I mean, hey, they're both actually pretty good at wrestling.
It was brought down by the gimmicks.
The gimmick sucked, yes. And I did like the fans chanting "Fright Forever." That was good. And then my favorite was the actual finish. Was Wendy got knocked off something and took a bump onto a bed.
Off the coffin top.
Do you realize when we were kids, all we did was take bumps on beds?
Well, it was a board.
And that
the mattress
immediately-
wasn't on there.
Immediately led to the finish.
It's like taking a bump on
Have you ever taken the mattress off a bed?
Yeah.
Okay, don't stand on what's left, or you're gonna fall right through it. Springs and wood. Anyway, it was better than I expected because it was mostly just wrestling. And then we had a couple of segments throughout the show. And to cut to the chase, it was setting up Ridge Holland and Ethan Page versus Trick and Bubba coming up next week at the ECW Arena show. And it's funny because like I heard before I watched the show, a lot of people were really down on it because there was like so much Bubba Ray and they just didn't like all the Bubba Ray on the show. But I gotta say, the guy did a great job. He did great promos in both segments. The fans were going nuts for him. And it was a great setup for the tag match next week. So the first segment was him saying, I don't want to do it. I'm not about this. You know, this is for you guys. You're the young guys. It should be you guys in the main events, not me. He goes to the back. And then later, the heels double-team Trick. They're beating him down. And finally, Bubba runs down to make the save, and he says, Trick, you want that partner? You got it. Place goes wild. So I liked it. It was good. We had... Actually, this was delightful because Charlie Dempsey offered Lexis King a shot at the Heritage Cup. Lexis King couldn't find a corner man. They did a long storyline. And finally, William Regal accepted. And, we were all like, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? What's going to happen? Well, the answer is we'll have to wait and see because this is only week 1. This week, what happened was Lexis got a bad knee injury, but he wouldn't give up. Regal slides him the knucks. Lexis looks at him, but slides him back and says, I am not my father! And he gets pinned. And Regal is disgusted, but he ends up having a discussion with Lexis. This story must continue. I cannot wait.
And no drama built up between Charlie Dempsey and William Regal. You would have forgotten William Regal was outside of the ring. And that's exactly the point, and they did a very good job with that.
We had Zarya and Brinley Reese. Zarya murdered her. Good. And then Fatal Influence came out, and they surrounded her. And they were gonna attack her. But then out came Kalani. And they were like, that's fine. It's still 4-on-2. Or 5-on-2 or whatever. So then Julie and Stephanie ran down, still 5-on-4. And so then Jordan Grace runs down. We have a 10-person brawl, and we have 2 factions here of women. And man, looking at all these women in the ring, it's like this NXT's got an amazing women's division. There is so much talent in this division.
There is so much potential. Number one, you got a lot of talent that's already ready to go to the main roster anyway that was standing in that mix. But when you look at 3, 4, 5 years down the line, they have set themselves up beautifully, and a lot of that credit goes to that NIL program because a lot of those women that are going to be stars in WWE, your Kalanis and such, they all came out of that system. So we're probably going to see that paying dividends, with whoever the biggest women's star is, and certainly Obafemi, sooner rather than later.
Nikita and Kalani Jordan. Rizzo came out to distract Nikita. Kalani pinned her. Nikita's a heel. She's full on going heel, which kind of surprises me because, here's the thing. No, here's the thing. This is the exact thing AEW does, okay? If you want Nikita to be a heel, fine, okay? But she literally just returned, and the place goes wild every time they see her. So you're just fighting the crowd by immediately turning heel. Let them get their excitement out for a few weeks. Let them cheer her. She's just coming back. Then turn her. But AEW does the same thing. Someone's gone for like 6 months. It's like, let's bring him back as a heel. Well, when someone's gone for an extended amount of time and they first come back, they're always over as a babyface with these modern crowds. They don't want to boo somebody who just came back. So you're just fighting against yourself. Just let her be a babyface for a couple of weeks.
Sometimes the whole thing is manipulation of the crowd in professional wrestling, Brian. You know that. Sometimes you actually have to tell people what you want them to believe. And the fact that they didn't drag this out, they already had Obafemi. Oh, you must have dropped this, and have her kind of being a witch every time she's out there on the microphone, and now putting her in with Adriana Rizzo, who may not be a great wrestler, but she's attached to an act that is very much over with Tony D'Angelo. To me, it is actually the right thing to do because you have heels like Jada Parker that people want to cheer. You have heels already there that people want to cheer. So bringing her back and already slotting her as a heel that you're probably going to want to do something with, I think that's actually the best way to go.
We had Rhea Ripley showing up, teasing she's going to be there next week, and then later she gets beaten up by Liv and Raquel. And we don't see the beating. We just see people rushing to the scene. Rhea and Liv are leaving with baseball bats, and Rhea is covered in blood.
They did a good job with that.
Juice
one, too.
is back, baby.
But again, you never saw it. You saw them walking away with the bats afterwards, and then they go over, and there's Rhea lay it out. They did a good job with that.
And then we had the main event. Axiom and Nathan Frazier versus Javon Evans and Cedric Alexander for the tag titles. I'm smiling because I wasn't lying, guys. I'm over it, okay? But the funny thing is, I don't like using this word, but a lot of marks, and they ain't over it yet. They're doing this match, and it is incredible. It's like one of the best NXT matches of the year. And no living human with a heartbeat could watch this match and go, it's Javon, he's just not ready for a top spot. He needs more seasoning. But, like, I don't want to say he was the best guy in the match, but he was right up there. I mean, he was incredible in this match. And so they're just, the place is going nuts. And then Wesley comes out with a chair. Javon dives on him through the ropes, and Javon Evans begins to brawl to the back with Wesley. He abandons a tag team championship match. You can hear the crowd screaming, "No! Don't leave!" As I knock the mic all over the place. But he leaves. Because he's an idiot in storyline.
He's angry.
He abandons his partner. Cedric is making this big comeback. And, like, as he's making the comeback, like, you can hear the crowd. At first, they're like, no! And then they kind of just start cheering, like, you know, Cedric for a while. And then they're like, ah! Because they know what's happening. And then they start booing. Even before the finish, they're booing. Because they know what's going to happen. They finally figured it out. You know, they plugged Busted Open like 4 times on the show. Bubba got busted open on the air 4 times. God bless the guy.
Shout out to LaGreca.
I'll tell you the show people should be listening to. It's this one. If everyone in NXT listened to this show, you wouldn't be so stupid. You wouldn't be marks in the crowd going, no, don't leave, Javon. You knew he was leaving. Smarten up, you freaking geeks. So anyway, Cedric gets pinned, of course. And that's the end. I was howling. The people were so mad, and I was like, you people are so dumb. Like, wake up! Wake up, people!
Well, it wasn't the
It's
end.
not his time. He's got a feud with Wesley. Then Cedric has to break up with him so he can feud with Cedric. And then, you know, when he's 24, 25, hey, now let's try and get this guy over as a top guy. It's a great match, though. And then, the end of the show, you know, they always are running out of time.
Yeah.
So at the end of the show, they go backstage, and Javon and Wesley, they're like pounding on each other. And Ava gets in between them. And she's like, you can't hear a word she's saying because everyone's screaming so loud. I don't know if she's signing a match or what, but she's like, because everyone's like, ah! And all of a sudden, Rob Van Dam steps in between. And everyone stops fighting and they go quiet. This legend is here. Rob Van Dam says, I just figured what I want to do next week in Philly. And he turns and he walks off. And they start brawling again. And I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing next week? And the show goes off the air. I don't know what he's doing, but he's doing something next week. Back in a moment, Observer Live. We did, in fact, by popular demand, watch Ready to Rumble.
The champion is some fat loser.
Yeah, he's a completely talentless, no athletic ability, can't wrestle, broke bum that walked out on his wife and kid.
But he was
he's
over.
the world champion.
He
and
was.
in the movie, the
Well, yeah, but
storyline
that's a
is-
microcosm of wrestling, sadly.
Yes.
He feels so bad about drinking this entire slushy that cost $1.26, and he sticks his finger in his asshole and walks up to the clerk.
Lance
And-
Lance is dying. How could the movie be so bad?
I'm not going to fault the man for that, of all the things in the movie.
I thought for
okay?
sure you were going to say you'd done this before.
There's a reason I'm not going to fault the man for that.
I just think with all the porta potties and farting in this, that I think Vince McMahon was a secret producer on this film. Had to have been.
So then we get the Shermanator. He's played a WCW arcade game. He uses some internet sleuthing to find the personal information of Jimmy King.
He's searching the internet. Gonna find out anything on here. This movie was so antiquated. Every Nitro Girl is in a Nitro Girl outfit, except for this girl. They had her
want
dance
her
in something
to
totally
stand out,
different.
Brian, like the captain.
So we're so stupid. I got it.
Captain
Yes,
Stabbing.
if you're watching this film, you're that stupid. I'm sorry.
But I was also insulted by the fact they hired Michael Buffer to announce the Royal Bash, the fake-ass Royal Bash.
$24 million budget.
Wow.
And probably 500,000 of that went to Michael Buffer. It made 12. You know, we should mention this cage match is the triple-decker Cage of Doom. Everybody buried it. It was horrible. Everybody hated it. And so they decided to make a movie. And what is the final battle? It's another goddamn triple-decker cage match. This would be like in 2010 if like TNA made a movie and the final match was a reverse battle royal.
They throw powder in someone's face, DDP's, I think, or somebody's, and the dude just looks at it and goes, "It doesn't work." It's like, of course, because wrestling's fake and stupid.
Should we just end it there? What a soundbite. There has never been a movie I have watched in my entire life which has made me hate myself more.
Wow.
I'm ashamed that I'm even in the place at 41 years old where I would end up reviewing this movie for money. I would have thought I would have made it out of here by now. You know what I mean? I'm done.
Well, everyone, hopefully we can do this again someday. Instead of suffering through the YouTube chat, click like and subscribe. Back on the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Man, now that I found that block feature.
Makes
God.
life a lot better, doesn't it?
Man, oh man.
Mute and block. Nothing wrong with that.
All right, what do we got tonight? Friday Night Dynamite? I'll be up with Dave later on.
World
Lance.
Series game. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Who cares about that? I'm talking about Lance Storm here. He's going to be up in an hour. 2 Pacific, 5 Eastern. And I believe he watched some NXT as well, so it'll be interesting to see what he thinks about that. It's always fun to get an Lance Storm NXT review. So hopefully he watched the Karrion Kross video as well. I've just got it playing in a loop right here. It brightens my day. But we'll talk to him, 2 Pacific, 5 Eastern. You can watch it live at video.f4wonline.com or get the podcast, wrestlingobserver.com, or Spotify or Apple Podcasts. If you want to check out those, f4wonline.com/Spotify, f4wonline.com/Apple. Get all the podcasts delivered to your device for $9.99 a month. What a deal. 84 shows a month? Mm-hmm. It's 30 cents a day. You can't do anything with 30 cents a day anymore. You can't even buy a stamp. But you can hear all our shows. So check those out. And if you didn't check it out, last night's Brian and Vinny show was a Halloween spectacular. Hey, tomorrow is also Halloween. Maybe we should do the costumes here on this show. You have a costume, Mike?
No.
Oh, come on.
No.
You can put something on.
No.
Don't be a coward. I'm going to unblock Lenny so he can call you a coward. You got to wear something for tomorrow. It's the Halloween edition of the show.
Yeah?
Find something.
Can't we just eat candy?
No. Get something for tomorrow. Put a sheet over your head or something. We can't see your face behind that giant mic anyway.
Maybe.
Talk to you next time. Wrestling Observer Live.